What if the most stressful parts of your day, the crowded platforms, the wet umbrellas, the dead ATM, the restaurant you can't order from because you don't speak the language? What if all of those were just engineering problems that someone already solved decades ago? Japan didn't wait for people to adapt to its systems. It adapted the systems to people, and it did it through 15 specific interventions you can actually point to and name. Once you know what to look for, the whole thing reads like a single coherent design document. Before we continue, hit subscribe so you never miss the latest updates. Number 1. Suica and Pasmo contactless transit cards. The worst part of any transit system isn't the train, it's the 2 minutes before it. Standing at a ticket machine that won't read your bill while everyone behind you starts sighing. Most cities responded by adding more machines or more staff, which just means more things that can break on a Monday morning. Japan asked a different question. Why does anyone need to stop at all? The Suica and Pasmo cards run on a stored value IC chip. You tap the reader and you're through in under half a second. No confirmation screen, no change to fumble for, no pause. The reader processes the fare while you're already walking through. And it's not just the subway. The same tap works on regional trains, buses, and convenience stores, so one card quietly handles an entire city's worth of daily transactions. You load money onto it once, and then you basically forget it exists. Japan didn't build a faster ticket machine. It removed the ticket machine from the equation entirely, and the whole platform flows differently because of it. Number 2. Heated toilet seats with bidet functions. The joke about Japanese toilets is that they're absurdly overcomplicated. Too many buttons, heated seats, jets of water, the whole thing. That framing misses the point entirely. The heated seat isn't a luxury. Many Japanese homes and older buildings don't have central heating. So in winter, a cold toilet seat is just a genuinely bad daily experience. The bidet function reduces how much toilet paper you need, which matters where plumbing infrastructure varies by neighborhood and building age. Every button on that control panel solves a specific problem that nobody had to verbally ask anyone to fix. The seat warms automatically when sensors detect you approaching. Bidet pressure and temperature adjust because bodies aren't identical, and the engineers who designed this actually studied bathroom behavior rather than just surveying bathroom preferences. Number 3. Convenience stores that handle everyday services. A Japanese convenience store, a Conbini, lets you pay utility bills, print documents, buy concert tickets, pick up packages, withdraw cash, and mail letters, all from one location that's open every hour of every day. That list sounds like it should be chaos, like a DMV crossed with a fast food counter. But Conbinis are actually calm spaces because every service takes under 2 minutes and needs 0 staff assistance. Pay a utility bill, for example, and the whole thing runs through a bar-coded slip you bring from home. You scan it at the register, pay cash, and walk out with a receipt. No account number to read aloud, no hold music, no branch hours blocking you. What the Conbini actually solved is fragmentation. Adult life in most countries means maintaining relationships with a dozen separate institutions, each open during hours that collide with your work schedule. The Conbini collapsed all of that into one location, no appointment required, no dedicated trip needed. Number 4. Takuhaiben luggage forwarding services. You land in Japan with 2 large bags, and instead of dragging them through the subway, up staircases, across platforms, and into a hotel elevator, you drop them at a counter near the arrivals hall, and they show up at your hotel room by early evening. The service is called Takuhaiben, which roughly means home delivery. And it started as a retail parcel network before expanding into travel luggage, because the infrastructure was already built and sitting there. Japan's train stations are genuinely hard to navigate with large bags, partly because older stations are stair-heavy, and partly because blocking other passengers carries real social weight. Takuhaiben doesn't try to make the bags smaller or the stairs easier, it just pulls the bags out of the equation entirely. Number 5. Coin lockers at train stations. You're in Tokyo for a day between cities. Hotel check-in isn't until 3 and you have a bag. Most countries leave you to solve that yourself, which usually means an extra night's cost or a long detour back to the hotel. In Japan, you walk to the nearest coin locker, which at any major station isn't far at all. The lockers come in sizes from small enough for a laptop bag up to large enough for a full suitcase. They accept IC cards at most modern installations, and they give you a code to retrieve your bag later. Some stations run hundreds of them across multiple banks near different exits. Number 6. Vending machines with hot and cold drinks. Japan has roughly one vending machine for every 23 people, the highest density anywhere in the world. But the count isn't the interesting part. Most vending machines elsewhere sell room temperature drinks from a fixed grid of options. Japanese machines stock hot and cold versions of the same drinks at the same time, with individual slots switching between heating and cooling modes based on season and local temperature. A can of hot coffee comes out at drinking temperature, costs the same as a cold can in summer, and needs no barista, no wait, no minimum order. Operators adjust the product mix per location using sales data, so a machine on a hiking trail stocks differently than one in a hospital corridor. Number 7. Train platform queue markings. During Tokyo rush hour, thousands of people wait for the same train, and almost none of them jostle, cut the line, or crowd the doors. Cultural patience is part of it, but the bigger reason is painted directly on the floor. The markings aren't just arrows, they're a full system. Colored lines showing exactly where each car's doors will stop, footprint icons telling you which direction to face, and separate zones for people getting off versus people boarding, all calibrated to the specific train model using that platform. When the train pulls in, the doors open right in front of the marked zones. Passengers exit through the center, boarding passengers move in from the sides, and nobody negotiated any of that out loud. A system running trains every 2 minutes can't afford long boarding times, and the floor markings are what keep dwell time short. An unmarked platform feels genuinely chaotic once you've used one with markings. Number 8. Plastic food displays outside restaurants. Outside almost every restaurant in Japan, there's a glass case displaying exact replicas of the dishes on the menu. You don't need to read Japanese. You don't need to ask the server to describe something. You don't need to guess whether the portion is what you wanted. You just point at the case before you even walk in. These displays are called shokuhin sanparu, and specialist artisans build each piece by hand using techniques that go back to the early 1900s. A single piece can take hours to produce and cost more than the actual dish it represents. What they're solving isn't just a language barrier. They move the decision point from inside the restaurant to outside it, so the disappointment of getting something unexpected never gets a chance to happen. Number 9. Public restroom privacy sound machines. In Japanese public restrooms, there's a small device on the wall called an autoheim, which translates to sound princess, and it plays the sound of a flushing toilet for as long as you press the button. It exists because people were flushing repeatedly during use, just to cover sounds, which burned through a lot of water every single day. The autoheime plays an audio mask instead, uses no water at all, and removes the anxiety that caused the behavior in the first place. Depending on the installation, it's either motion-activated or button-activated, and the sound it plays targets the specific frequency range that actually covers what people are trying to cover, not random noise. Engineered audio masking. What's worth paying attention to is that nobody had to become less self-conscious for this to work. The design traced an embarrassment-driven behavior to its physical consequence, water waste, and closed that loop without asking anything from the person using the room. Number 10. Umbrella stands in lockers at entrances. Rain in Japan shows up fast and often, and almost every building entrance has a stand or locker, specifically for wet umbrellas waiting right at the door. Umbrella theft is actually one of the most common petty crimes in Japan. Not because people are dishonest, but because an unorganized stand full of identical umbrellas is genuinely easy to grab the wrong one from. The locking version solves that directly. Your umbrella goes into a numbered slot, you take the key, and you retrieve it on the way out with zero staff involvement. The non-locking stand still keeps floors dry and entryways clear, and it tells you the building thought about your arrival before you got there. A wet umbrella doesn't belong inside, but you can't just leave it outside unattended either, so the entrance is the only logical place to deal with it. The stand is just the mechanism that makes that work. Number 11. Compact, walkable neighborhood design. Japanese cities weren't built around the car. They grew outward from the train station with convenience stores closest in, then restaurants, pharmacies, clinics, and parks, all sitting within a 15-minute walk from where you arrived. Zoning in Japan allows mixed-use development by default across most residential areas. So a dry cleaner runs next to an apartment building, next to a small factory, next to a school, and nobody thinks that's strange. Most daily errands don't need a vehicle or even a plan. The walkable radius around a station functions as a self-contained loop. Residents handle most of daily life without leaving it. which cuts time spent in transit, cuts logistics planning, and cuts transportation costs for routine tasks. Lower stress, more incidental walking, stronger ties to local businesses. Research connects all of these to walkable neighborhoods, and Japan's station areas produce all of them as side effects, not as goals anyone deliberately targeted. You don't decide to walk to the pharmacy is just there. Number 12. Convenience store ATMs with nationwide access. Japan runs heavily on cash, which sounds outdated until you realize cash works everywhere there, because getting cash is never actually a problem. In most countries, the ATM network is fragmented. Your bank's machine is free, everyone else charges you, and half of them run dry or go offline on weekends. Japan treated ATM access as shared infrastructure instead of a competitive edge, so the machines inside convenience stores accept cards from hundreds of financial institutions, run in English, and stay open all night. An ATM running low on cash gets flagged the same way a shelf running low on onigiri does, because the store's existing inventory system covers both. That's the part that makes it work. The ATM didn't arrive with its own separate reliability plan. It plugged into a logistics and staffing operation that was already built around never running out of anything, and it inherited that reliability just by sitting inside the same four walls. Number 13. Platform screen doors in train stations. Platform screen doors are floor-to-ceiling glass barriers running the full length of a train platform, with sliding panels that only open when a train stops, with its doors lined up exactly against them. Getting that alignment right means every train has to stop within centimeters of the same spot, every single time, across thousands of daily stops. Japan solved that through automated train operation combined with precise track engineering, so the positioning isn't left to the driver's judgment. Underground stations in Tokyo build up serious heat from braking and acceleration, and the screen doors let the platform be air-conditioned separately from the tunnel. That's a completely different experience from standing in a hot, open trench waiting for a train. There's no edge to drift close to, no wind blast when an express passes through without stopping, no noise from trains that aren't yours. The platform becomes an enclosed waiting room rather than a ledge next to fast-moving machinery, and a train passing through without stopping feels like nothing at all. Number 14. Tactile paving for safer navigation. Across every Japanese train station, sidewalk, and public building, there are rows of raised yellow dots and bars pressed into the floor. They're called tenji blocks, and they form a continuous tactile map that tells visually impaired pedestrians where they are, which direction to walk, and when to stop. The dot pattern means stop or caution, typically at platform edges, intersections, or decision points. The bar pattern means go straight, following the direction of the bars. Together they work as a navigational language that runs entirely through your feet. No signage needed, no assistance required. Japan developed this system in the 1960s, and the blocks now appear in dozens of countries. But Japan's version covers residential sidewalks, shopping malls, hospital corridors, and university campuses, not just major transit routes. A gap in the path is worse than no path at all, so Japan treated the network as something that only works if it's continuous. Number 15. Parcel redelivery systems with flexible scheduling. When a package can't be delivered in Japan because nobody's home, the driver leaves a slip that lets you reschedule to a specific 2-hour window, any day within the next week, including evenings and weekends, through an app, by phone, or at a convenience store terminal. Most countries leave you with a vague second attempt that could land any time across a 10-hour window. Japan's system treats your time as a scheduling variable the same way it treats the driver's route as one, and it optimizes both simultaneously. 2-hour windows aren't a special exception drivers accommodate reluctantly. They're a standard parameter built into the routing software from the start. Every one of these 15 systems started as a problem that most places just accepted. The wet umbrella, the confusing menu, the package you missed, the platform edge, the ATM that's offline on Saturday. Japan looked at each one and decided someone should actually fix it, then built the fix into the physical environment, so individual people didn't have to manage it themselves. The real question isn't why Japan did this, it's whether the friction everywhere else was ever actually unavoidable. That's it for today. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more updates you won't want to miss.